Okay, let's go ahead and get started on this section. What we're going to work on today is the proper line to the corners. To do that, I've got a corner set up here that we use to illustrate what we're doing. But before we do that, I want to review a couple things from yesterday. Remember that we talked about the fact that your tires only have 100% traction available, and you have to manage how much of that traction you use for acceleration and braking versus cornering. In a normal corner like this is your typical 90-degree corner. You'll find this in neighborhoods, you'll find it downtown, and it's actually an exact duplicate of turn 7 out here at Putnam Park. This is a 45-mile-an-hour corner in an Indy car. You're only going to be going 25 or 30 miles an hour through here, but the line that you take determines in part how quickly you can go. This is 2 lanes, and you can notice if you're going this way, this radius around the inside edge of the corner is actually pretty tight. You're going to have to slow down quite a bit. If you're in the outer lane, the radius is larger, you can go faster. Now your car actually prefers to go straight. Indy cars turn well, but even they would prefer to accelerate and brake in a straight line. Our job as a high-performance driver is to make the road as straight as we can make it. The straighter you can go, the faster you can go, or the safer you can go. And that's what we're going to work on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these 2 lines, this tight line from the inside lane and the larger radius from the outside lane, we're going to combine them into a new line called the racing line. And what happens here is we're actually going to turn in, this is the beginning of the corner, down here, we're going to fade into the apex, and then we're going to continue out as far as we can and make this the largest radius we can. If you notice, this radius is significantly greater than the one if you had to stay in your lane. This gives you a couple of options. First of all, you can significantly increase your speed through the corner. Or if you go the same speed as you would have in here, you can go through that corner with a lot of reserve left over. Remember, your tires only have 100% traction available, and if you are using 100% of that traction to turn the car, how much traction do you have left over to stop it or accelerate? 0. You have used all your available traction, there's nothing you can do. If you take a line like this that decreases the cornering loads on the car, you now have some performance reserve in case you have to make a change. If you get in here somewhere and a dog runs out in front of you or a car pulls out in front of you, if you've got some reserve left with your tires, it's actually a safer way to go. Now, in a high performance situation, you can actually use this to carry a lot more speed, and that's actually what our job is as a race car driver. We're trying to make the road as straight as we can so we can go as fast as we can. The difficulty with this line is that you have to be exact. If you're using 100% of your cornering force in through here and you realize here that you need another 6 inches of pavement here, you're not going to have it. You're going to be in trouble because you've already used all your performance capability. What we're going to do is modify this line to make it a little safer. Watch this. Instead of turning in at our normal turning point, we're actually going to go a little bit further down, just a couple of car lengths. We're actually going to start turning here. And in this line, we're going to come down in here, make our turn, and go like this. This is actually called a late apex. Instead of apexing at the exact center of the corner, you touch here, but look at this radius here, it's almost straight. And what happens is if you're going the same speed as this guy is, you're going to brake a little bit harder, slow down some more. This is a tighter radius, which you can do now because you're going slower, but when you get to this part, it's very, very gentle. It's very safe. You have a ton of traction left over if you need to make a change. And there's one other neat thing about this. On the black line, if you're cornering as hard as you can't actually start accelerating until you're completely done with the corner here. On the late apex line, this part of the corner is pretty tight. You can actually start accelerating before you get to the apex. And you can accelerate from here. Now, if you have 2 identical cars with exactly the same performance, and you run them on these 2 lines, watch what happens. The guy in the black line turns in here, and he is going as hard as he can go in a corner. He can't start accelerating until he gets to here, right? The guy on the red line had to slow down a little bit more going into the corner, and look where he can get back in the gas. If you have two identical cars on these two separate lines, the red car will pass the black car before it gets to the next corner. And that's what racing is all about. It is about managing your cornering to maximize your acceleration down the next straight. This line lets you do that. Now there's also one more line that we're going to go over, and this is the one you don't want to be on. Your brain gets this cornering force versus speed versus radius scenario. So it understands that the larger the radius, the less cornering force there is, because your brain doesn't really like to go around corners either. What happens in a high-performance situation is that you're coming down the straight at between 100 and 130 miles an hour. Your brain is going, hello, there's a corner coming up, and it wants you to take a radius that's going to be comfortable. So you'll turn in down here somewhere. What happens here is you're going to turn in really early, and you're going to make a real nice, gentle corner, and it feels really good right up until the time to where you get here. And all of a sudden, you realize that the track is headed this way, and you're pointed this way, and it's not fun. This line is really gentle. You can carry a ton of speed, and all of a sudden, you get to this point, and you realize you are going to leave the track like that. This is called the early apex line. It is what most beginners do, and it gets you in trouble because now not only are you going to go off the track, but you're going a lot faster than if you would have been on the other two lines. When this happens, here are your four tires. This tire leaves the pavement last, and I guarantee you that one tire on pavement will beat three on the grass every time. It sends you off into a spin, and your line then looks like this. We don't want you to do that. What you're going to do now is you're going to go out and try this in your cars with your instructors. We'll come back later on this afternoon, and we'll talk more about it at that time.